Did you know that self love can make your orgasms better? Now, if that's not a reason to actually practice self love, I don't know what is. Because sometimes it can be hard work to practice self love when everything else tells us that we don't have time or we don't have the energy. But if you think that self love can make your orgasms bigger and better and more enjoyable, motivation, tick. And so, how does self love make our orgasms better? Well, it's literally a space issue. If you have an open heart, you actually have more space in your body. And if you start thinking of your orgasms or your pleasure as energy, and you can start to imagine that having more space in your body for energy to move and to expand and to grow actually makes sense. So, the more room you have in your body by opening your heart, the more pleasure you can feel because you've got more room for it to expand and to grow in. Now, science can't actually prove this yet because, as much as science has learned over the decades, it hasn't yet learned much about energy. So, you need to become your own scientist and actually get curious around what will happen if you start to embody your self love, to really feel into your heart, and to, before you start to self pleasure or you make love, is to really feel that open heart. And you can understand this is possible because you know when you get into a new relationship, before there's any hurts that's happened, and you just both think each other is fabulous, the best thing since sliced bread, then the orgasms are often at their best at this time. And it's because literally our hearts are open more fully. But we don't have to wait until we get into a new relationship to actually experience this. We can literally choose to feel into our heart and breathe into it before we go into pleasuring, and just feel that connection in there to our heart. And when we feel that in an embodied way, we're actually opening our heart. We're literally opening up a space inside of ourselves. It's not about having to love the person that we're with. It's as much about loving ourselves. And it can spread around then when we do that. But it starts with loving ourselves, opening our bodies. And when we start to feel that pleasure in our bodies, particularly if we're breathing, because breathing makes everything better, it makes energy move, then we can start to feel that pleasure in more parts of our bodies because we've got all this space that's opened up in us, inside of ourselves. And even if you place one hand over your heart as you're in pleasure, and imagine that that energy is moving through your body and making its way through to your heart, that can be an embodied experience of self-love with more pleasure. And when you do come up to your orgasmic edge, just breathing into your heart, feeling it opening to yourself, and wow, the impact, because you've got all that extra space and you've created all of that extra energy, makes the pleasure so much more enjoyable. So take the tip from me, become your own scientist and experiment with opening your heart, feeling yourself love more fully in your body, and amping up your